My hands stable, I feel able to turn the tables. I could do this, just keep moving, keep your hands up, stupid. I feel lucid, a new viewing. I can see the end, I can see my future, I can view it. It's right there for the taking. Everything I've ever wanted, dreams are just waiting. I just gotta fight for it, willing to die for it, willing to like sort of.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000, it still sucks. This is Philip J. Price, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show. Your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. How you doing, Big Blue? Hi, man. Blue, we'll start off with you. How you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just enjoying my day. I had a
Enjoying
walk
it?
yesterday. I got to have a few beers by the pool, but today I have to work, so no beers today.
No beers today. What about you, Jaime? How you doing, my man?
I'm still employed. That's good. that's a plus, right? I'm hanging in there with the work. It's hot as hell. So right now, when I got out, I took a nap and I poured some Dr. Pepper with some Old Smoky in there.
Nice.
nice.
I might join you here in a second. I'm just drinking water right now. But so last time we came together, we were talking about the I guess the defense in the Delphi case, the Richard Allen case. His defense attorneys had dropped a memorandum in support of the accused motion for a Franks hearing. Let me share this real quick, just to remind everybody what it is. Yeah, there it is. All right. So this document here was 136 pages. And up until, what we went over last time was just the scene, right? And what I did today was I actually read 136 pages this morning, and man, it's pretty compelling. I'll be honest. It's compelling. The argument is that Richard Allen's defense attorneys are alluding that the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German were a ritualistic sacrifice by a group of Odinites that are like they called them a hijacked group of neo like Nazi type individuals, right? And basically they're saying those are who are responsible for this, and that Richard Allen is 100% innocent. Now, I read through both this, and then I went back and read the probable cause affidavit. And what I came to the conclusion is that I think that Richard Allen is involved, but I am more kind of certain that I think other people had something to do with it as well. I don't think, we questioned, did he do it by himself? My thoughts are that maybe perhaps he had some help. But we'll start it off. And if you guys have any questions, you know what to do. So, like I said, 8 things to know. It said that the members of the pagan Norse religion called Odinism is hijacked by white nationalists, and they ritualistically sacrificed Abigail Williams and Liberty German. So that's the first thing that they want to tell you. And so they basically go into a great amount of detail in this report of how these Odinites are still having an effect on this case. So apparently, based on the description of the scene, they had the bodies with the sticks. In fact, let me pull up a picture of that so I can show everybody what that scene was.
Where are they getting this information? They're getting it from Richard Allen or from someone coming up like an informant?
So they're getting the information from doing their own investigation. Apparently, there were 3 officers or law enforcement officials that were, what's the word I'm looking for? That crossed this Odinite angle and went with it. All right. Everybody seems to be like these individuals that the defense actually claim. They call out 5 names, right? They name these people by name that they think that are involved in this case. Now I'm gonna bring up a picture referencing the scene. This is a trigger warning. It may be difficult to see for some. So I'm gonna try to. Blue, can you pull it up?
It says it's already up.
That's what she said.
There it is.
There it goes.
All right, so this is a description of the scene that was there, and what you see is you'll see what is portrayed to be Liberty to the left and Abby to the right, and it's a very detailed picture of the scene. There's the bullet between the bodies, and you see, I think it's a shoe that was underneath Abigail, and underneath the shoe, I believe, was a cell phone that belonged to Liberty. So basically, first things first, if you guys came across this type of scene, wouldn't you automatically assume that, or think that there's a big possibility that this was some kind of ritual?
Yeah, no, definitely, especially the way it's staged, yeah. When people commit murders, they usually commit them and just leave the body there. They don't make a statement like this and stage the bodies.
Right, exactly. What about you, Big Blue? The position of the bodies, does it look like it's what's the word I'm looking for? Well planned out? Do you think somebody could have staged this? Out of the moment?
I think the spare moment, probably not. I think it looks more staged to me because it looks like those they're making the one on the right, that's supposed to be the one that has the clothes on still. Who's that supposed to be?
Yeah, Abigail.
Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made her with the horns and stuff on the head with the bushes. And I've seen that in other pictures of certain religions when they portray certain things.
Now, the one thing I'll say about this image that I think is possibly wrong is I think that this asterisk marking is actually turned the other way. I think that this board that's going horizontal or vertical is actually horizontal, and by the sound of it, it was closer to the neck area, I believe, and the hands quite were positioned in this manner. I think it said that the left hand was near the left side of the face, but on the chest, and so it was a little bit different, but very much similar. And then I also think that the tree, it said that her head was leaned up against the base of the tree. So I'm assuming that the tree is probably a little bit thinner than this one, and that her arm reached up to touch the tree. So, and that the long branch was to her left side. I'm assuming that Liberty was lined up perfectly along the tree, and the tree was probably maybe slightly wider than her, and that the stick went across, because it says that it went up for several feet above her head and several feet below her head. So
I think somebody asked if they were both covered with leaves. I don't think any of them were covered with leaves.
no, yeah, one of them was. I think it was just Liberty that was covered in leaves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Apparently Abigail, her clothing, which was Liberty's clothing, was dry and it was clean. No dirt, no blood, very little blood is what they said, according to the defense. Now, that's the other thing we have to take with a grain of salt, is that this is coming from the defense. It's very much one-sided. For instance, there's verbiage in there that indicate that they claim that the bullet or the round, the unspent round, was buried. Blue, what are for something to be defined as buried, what do you think has to happen?
Somebody would have to be digging or trying to cover something up, and they buried it with what they were covering.
Right.
Unless they stepped on it and it was like soft soil.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
In their statement, they indicate that the soil was damp and soggy, right? When they were referencing Abigail's clothes being clean. And I thought to myself, well, they probably stepped on it. Now, they use the term buried, but the thing is, they said that they took a picture of it while it was buried in the ground. How could you take a picture of it still buried in the ground? It would be covered, right? So I think that somebody stepped on it and it actually just kind of imprinted into the ground. But using that type of terminology to describe this small aspect of it leads me to believe that a lot of the stuff that's in here might be overly exaggerated as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that goes with the same thing with the prosecution. The probable cause affidavit and things like that are going to be very much one-sided, right? And like I said, the truth when it comes to these things, I believe somewhere in the middle, leaning towards the prosecution in most cases. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this is apparently that bullet was there. Now, according to the defense, they ended up finding out that the prosecution went and spoke with this professor, and that this professor, I think it was out of Purdue, basically told them that they didn't believe that this was ritualistic or cult driven, right? I guess basically meaning that it was staged to look like that, assuming that's what they meant. But when the defense asked for that information and or looked for it, apparently they can't locate the professor that they asked, and they don't remember who he was. So that's a big question mark. What do you guys think about that?
That doesn't seem strange at all.
Yeah.
A police officer forgetting vital information.
Yeah, I said that with so much sarcasm. So.
So I do think that there's some police corruption going on here. I'll be honest on that. There's something going on, and it stinks. It stinks bad.
Yeah, or
So,
at least some incompetence.
Well, that's what the defense is saying. Is they're like, either these guys were being purposefully lying and trying to change things, because they accuse them of lying on the probable cause affidavit and other forms, basically purging themselves, right? And it's either that or they're incompetent, right? That's basically what the defense says. Either they're dumb, they don't know how to do their job, or they're corrupt. Those are the only two options that they're giving.
You think the fact that it's such a small town, such a small agency, they don't have the proper training for these kind of crime scenes, that make it seem like they're incompetent? Maybe,
but I think the Indiana State Police got involved, and they handle much larger cases and stuff, so they should be well versed in something like this. Now, Abel, I don't know what you're moving, but I hear it pretty loud. Well, anyways, so they're claiming that they flat out lied in certain areas, but they're saying that there was a particular Odinite that may be responsible. Now, myself, I'm not so sure about that. I do think that there were some possible Odinites and or some individuals who wanted to be Odinites involved, but
Posers.
I don't know if this guy himself was involved. But there is some question. So that guy's name is Brad Holder. And this is the guy, right? So apparently why they suspect it's him is because he had some suspicious things on his Facebook. For instance, he had a picture of, I believe it was Odin hanging upside down that he drew. And let me see if I can find it real quick. There it is, right next one. So this is a painting that he had drawn. And as you can see, the leg is curled behind, and there's a tree. And if you zoom in here, I know it's a bad copy of it, but this is actually an F. Now, on the one of the things that the defense is claiming, that at the scene above where Libby was laying, that there was an F painted on the bark itself by using Liberty's blood itself as paint. And these images came up. I think this image came up about a year and 2 days or 3 days after the incident had occurred. There's some memes that Holder puts on, like for instance, the day after, on February 14th, when they discovered the bodies, he had put a meme up stating that, your friends will help you move a body, but your real friends will keep quiet, or something like that. And it was the Goodfellas. Now, the reason that was weird is not just because of the timing, but apparently Mr. Holder's son, Logan, dated and was dating Abigail Williams at the time. So exactly. So Abigail was dating this guy, and apparently this guy would go and travel, which is, let me see if I can find it. So that's the F that they claim was on the bark. So this guy, this is Holder, Brad Holder. He would go and hang out with this guy on the left. This is what is his name? I'm forgetting his name. Dang it, let me find it real quick.
It kind of reminds me of Chuck Liddell.
No, it's like something with a P. I can't remember. Let's see. I don't know what that's about, but JH comes in with a $4.99 super sticker. Says, "Got to follow your heart, Stevie." That's what I did too. Let me see. Oh gosh, I have these guys. Where was it?
I wonder if at the scene before, after they were discovered, you were saying that the ground was real mushy,
Yeah, because it was kind of close to the river, I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't as as hard as it's supposed to be at that time. I wonder if they had tracks, or they actually took account of the tracks, the people who actually found the bodies. You know what I mean? Because different people will be wearing different size shoes and whatnot.
Right. No, of course. And the thing is, though, that to this day, the Carroll County, law enforcement agencies that are involved in this think that Richard Allen is the only guy, and that he did this by himself. So Patrick Westfall, this is a guy who was in the Army with Holder, and apparently he has like PTSD. These guys had formed a different type of, not so much a different type of religion, but they had this like sub religion of their Odinism, which was designated for warriors within the Odinite. So these were the guys that were the warriors. It's like Astria or something like that, Astrias. And Brad Holder would say, or would eventually, when interviewed, say that he would go over to Patrick's house every weekend to do rituals and all this other stuff in his backyard, and that his son Logan would go play baseball, and that's where he believes he had met Abigail Williams, and that he thinks that they had only hung out one time. He says he had never met the girl. All right, now he lives and works, Brad Holder, in Logansport, I believe, or 25 miles away. And it would take, probably about, I think it said like 40 minutes to get from his work to where the scene was. The reason why the police claim that Brad Holder, even though his son was dating one of the victims, he was part of the Odinism that did some rituals, and he had some questionable stuff, was because that he had an alibi, and his alibi was that he was at work. There was a video of him going into work and leaving work. Now, the defense questions if it was actually him in the truck or not in the truck, or if the video was even seen. They say that basically a officer went out there and they had asked the human resource department lady about clocking in and clocking out, and about Brad Holder, and that lady said that he was there, and that the only person that can manipulate the clock in and clock out times was her, and and that basically informed the investigator that Brad usually ate there at lunch, and so he was there and didn't clock out till I believe it was 2:30. Right. Now, had he gone straight there, the defense indicates that he would have probably arrived around 3:15. Now, the problem I have with that is, from what I understand, is one of the little girls, I think it was Liberty's dad, went looking for, his daughter or his daughter's friend on the trail within earshot of where this is occurring. And if this occurred at 3:15, I think he was already on the trail. So it had to have occurred prior to that. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why maybe perhaps he knew about it, or he was a part of it in some other way, but I'm not sure if he was ever physically there. Right. Now, what the defense does is they tie in Patrick Westlake, or what did it say his name was? I'm bad with names, y'all. Westfall. I call him Westlake. My bad. But, they basically connected Patrick Westlake with a guy named Johnny Messer, who is like a recruiter for them, right? Because they want to recruit other members to join their Odinism group. So he's their recruiter, and apparently there's a few dudes that want to join, and their names are, I believe it was, let me go find it. Elvis. It was Elvis. Oh gosh. Hold on, let me find it.
First.
Nah, it wasn't Elvis Presley. I
Dude,
had it somewhere. I should have written it down.
What's it called?
Go ahead, ask your questions.
Well, it's not really. Well, it's a question, but like, can you imagine like making a cult or a society and like looking for recruits? That's kind of weird, right? Going up to people and just asking them, or how's that work?
Well, I think it's more along the lines of like, basically what they were doing was like, yeah, I mean, they're trying to recruit for a gang. Now, apparently, according to the defense, that Johnny would target guys that had low IQ, right? And or stuff that was wrong with them. And this guy named Elvis apparently had according to the defense and this paperwork, had the mental capacity of a 7 or 8 year old. Right? Now, this guy Elvis, he said some pretty interesting things. So he okay, so it's Elvis, Rod. I'm gonna find these names real quick. I know that I have them at the end. That's what sucks. I should have pulled this up, but I was running a little late. I apologize, y'all.
That's okay.
I think everybody was.
Elvis Fields, somebody put on there.
Yeah, it was Elvis Fields. It was Rod, his friend Rod, and Ned, I believe is what the other guy's name was. Now, apparently, Elvis he has 2 sisters. He tells one of his sisters that he was on the trail when the girls went missing, and that he said that he was going to go away for a very long time, and that he was there when they were killed, the girls were killed, and that there was 2 other people with him. Now, what they were trying to say was that another piece of evidence that the defense was trying to say that Eric Fields was tied with the Odinism is that they asked John Messer, and he had said that Fields wanted to join, but that the guys wouldn't have wanted him, which is weird because the guys they targeted were, he would have fit the criteria. Right. Now, he also told his sister that he had a brother after that night and had joined a gang. So it seems like, he's kind of alluding, or the defense is alluding, that this was some sort of like to end the group type of thing, right?
Like initiation kind of deal.
Right. And one of the other things that they basically indicating is that oh, I get you, Blue. The other thing that they're indicating is or said that he said he joined a gang and that he had a brother, and then he told another sister later that he was going away for a long time, and that he spit on one of the girls' faces, on Abigail's face, I believe, and he said that she was a troublemaker, and so that he put horns on her head with sticks. Now, how would he know that piece of information?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the only way they can know that is if they know the people that actually found the remains, right?
Right.
Like in person, and they would have got that information. Maybe I'm not really sure, but I don't know if they're, I'm guessing if there's an open investigation, they're not supposed to be talking about none of that, right? To other people.
Yeah, I mean, the only way they would know that the hornets are on their head is if they were there, or somebody talked that found the body.
Yeah, something like a leak or something. Especially if they were just volunteers, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, though. Like, Elvis Fields was questioned, right, by one of the troopers. And after his questioning, Elvis Fields, I think it happened in a vehicle, got off the vehicle, walked away, then turned around and came back. And he told the trooper, he asked if his DNA or spit was on one of the girls. And if it was, he could explain it. And if he could, would he be in trouble?
Man, I don't have nothing to say about that.
Well, what about the fact that law enforcement didn't continue down this angle?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, not only the fact that he went back and asked these questions that are particular to the case, but even the law enforcement not doing anything, like you said, following that angle, like you said. That's crazy.
It definitely is. And then
especially being so specific, you know what I mean, about the horns, about his DNA. That's
right. And one of his sister, because this was all him telling his sister, right? And he did have an interview with the trooper, but what he told the sister about him being there and two other people there, and that they killed these girls, his sister took a polygraph test and passed it. That was the information she was told. So,
oh wow,
I think that this is kind of starting to leak now. The other thing is that the defense is basically saying that Elvis Fields' time was starting to mimic Brad Holder's Facebook. Like, Brad Holder put up a picture of guns and knuckles. He put up a picture of guns and those type of knuckles you put on your, what are they called? There you go. He put up a picture of like a clear mason jar, and then so did this guy. So he was following him, right? Mm-hmm. And let me pull up a picture of Elvis. I don't think I showed you what it looked like yet.
There ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Do you know the whole like end game of this cult? Like, what was their beliefs? Because almost every cult has a belief, right? That they have to strive for, right?
Right. They're saying that basically the defense is stating that the motive behind this or whatever was that that this was a white nationalist group, and that one of the mothers of the little girls was intermingling mixed races, was basically seeing somebody outside of their race, and this was a form of getting back at them or something.
Like a punishment.
Yeah.
Pretty harsh, man.
Yeah. And so this is the guy, his name is Elvis Fields. And the thing is,
never trust a guy with with the beanie that doesn't say Drunk Turkey Show on it. That's what I say.
I mean, that looks like
Yeah.
a blue sweater. I mean,
I don't know. That
but
guy can't grow a mustache and beard like me. So.
now this guy went on Facebook like yesterday, and he put a post saying, I'm Christian. I've always been Christian. And he put a picture of like 3 brand new Bibles. And I'm like, if you're trying to say you were always Christian and you're showing like a Bible, one of them still in its wrapper,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a good look.
Yeah, that's not helping at all.
Yeah.
Nah,
Like I buy a new Bible every week.
So this
That's
is
the way I roll.
right. So this is the guy. This is Elvis Fields. So he goes and he tells all these people that this happened. He's even said that he's going to go away for a long time. Now, he does have, the mental capacity of a child. Is it possible that somebody told him these things and maybe somebody said, because he said that he could explain why his spit was, is it possible that somebody told him that they put his spit on the bodies and that they're going to pin it on him if he doesn't stay quiet about something?
Possibly. I mean, or maybe at this point maybe he was involved and he doesn't know right from wrong at this point. He's just bragging about it,
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's true. But I don't know, apparently he was like super nervous and concerned. Now, Holder and Patrick, they were like best friends, but they stopped being friends after February of 2017, which is when this incident occurred, right? Now, they talked to Holder's ex-wife, and Holder's ex-wife stated that one time while they were drunk, that Brad Holder had told his ex-wife that he was no longer friends with Patrick because of somebody did something during a ritual that the other didn't agree with, and that they didn't want to be friends anymore. Well, Brad's ex-wife kind of thought that was suspicious, especially, I guess, with the timing of things. So a little bit later on, she went and told Brad that, and I think he was also kind of drinking that day, but she told Brad that one of her friends was going to go on a date with Patrick, and that he started to get nervous, right? And she wanted to just kind of get some information about what happened. She's like, she had asked him, like, what happened? I want to tell my friend, whether or not it's okay or not to go on a date with this guy. And then Brad started freaking out and saying no, that he's dangerous, that, well, not so much for his friend her friend not to date him, but for his ex-wife not to be around him. And like he said that he's dangerous. He claimed that that Patrick and his boys were responsible, or his crew were responsible for the Delphi murders, and that it was some sort of ritual thing because one of the mothers of the victims was mixing race. So this is where that came into play. Right. And so that's what Holder said. Now, Holder was always over there. Now, he wasn't there during the week, and I believe this was like a Monday. Right. He was only there during the weekend. So I don't know. I mean, there's some dots here that I'm kind of putting together. You have Elvis Fields, who is idolizing Brad Holder, copying everything he does on his Facebook. Mm-hmm. And you have Brad Holder's son, who's dating one of the victims, and her friend possibly. I mean, I don't know whose mother was intermingling to, from their point of view, but one of them was. And so I think that there's a loose connection there. Is it possible that, Elvis in some sort, and this is complete speculation, right? 100% speculation.
Put the band.
Right. It says Brian Koberger, though.
Close enough.
Right. Is it possible that, man, I forgot where I was going with that.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I'm going to get back. Hold on.
It was a loose connection, something like that.
Right. There's a loose connection there between Holder and this guy. Is it possible that this guy was like trying to become a part of, this group that Brad Holder was basically in charge of, because he was like one of the main head guys of this Odinism group. And in doing so, he thought maybe perhaps this was a good way to get in their graces. You know what I'm saying? Now, the defense team says that Richard Allen, he was incarcerated in the place that he's incarcerated right now, that the prison guards there are all, like a few of them are members of the Odinite group, that the defense lawyers had gone on several occasions. Now, hold on, let me back up a little bit. The defense never told the prosecution that they were aware that there was an Odinite connection, right? They had only gone, because apparently the prosecution hasn't sent over everything, and that they're still waiting on things, right? And had they not told them about the Odinite connection, they feel that the defense or the prosecution was never going to give them that information. So, the prosecution was under the impression, apparently, that the defense had no idea that this was an Odinite thing, which I don't know how you can come up with that conclusion based on what you see at the scene. It looks like a thing. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't think that the defense would have seen those pictures and been like, hey, it looks like this is something crazy. You know what I mean? What do y'all think?
I don't know, man. I think the fact that there might be possible other players involved.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if there were more people involved, they would have more likely had more witnesses seeing people in those woods on the trail. But then again, you can also go back and say, if this was a one-person deal, how much time did it take him to do all this stuff? You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing.
To the point where like he could get discovered,
Yeah. Well, and I forgot to mention this, according to Brad, he had told his ex-wife that the more questions that she asked about Patrick and stuff, that she would be in danger, and he felt that she would be killed, and that if that Patrick found out that Amber was married to him, his ex-wife was married to him, that she would be in danger. And he said that he has people in high power. Right. Now, there was a neighbor, I forgot to mention this. There was a neighbor who saw someone at 8:30 in the morning on February 13th, right? The day that the girls went missing, by the mailboxes where remember there's that road that goes back underneath the Monhan Bridge, and there's like a little community back there. Well,
like the
dirt road. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a guy by the mailboxes down there, and that they passed by him, and that when they did, it's about 8:30 in the morning, that he ducked and looked kind of, or maybe not ducked, but when they turned back, he was gone, and they thought that he scared off. He looked scared when they saw him, and they said that the guy looked like Elvis Fields. So interesting, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Especially because you have this small town, everybody knows everybody. You know
yeah.
what I mean? What was I can't remember the population, but I know it was super tiny. Like even here, there's almost 40,000 people, and you pretty much run into people that you know from way back then. So like, if people are saying that they saw him, like the possibility of them being wrong is not that high.
Right. They didn't say Elvis Fields by name. They saw his picture and they said it was that guy.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because like, I mean, the probability of there's another guy that looks exactly like him is kind of like, no, especially in a town that's so small,
Right. No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. So they see him there, right? And anyways, so apparently, according to Brad, this guy is connected to somebody of high power, right? And it kind of assumes that way, because when you look at, according to the defense, it seems like the prosecution or law enforcement really didn't look in at the angle, the Odinite angle. They got a lot of tips to say, look at Brad Holder. He has some disturbing pictures on his Facebook shortly after, yada yada, and they apparently cleared him within 3 weeks of the murders. And basically, they had one interview with him. He said that he was at work until sometime between 2 and 4 p.m. and then he went to the gym to go work out. Now, the reason why I think they cleared him, though, is I think that maybe there's a good chance that he did go to work and then go to the gym afterwards. Now, the prosecution or the defense says that there's a Facebook post of Holder claiming to be at the gym at 2 a.m, on February 14th, but not at, I guess, 2 p.m. or 2:30 in the afternoon, where you would assume he would have been there after work.
Wait,
now,
so he posted he was at the gym at 2 a.m?
And he said something about my testosterone level is through the roof right now. Right. Yeah,
that's weird, right?
right?
Because you expect him to post it at 2 in the afternoon, but
Yeah,
and not 2 a.m.
and if his testosterone level was that high, maybe because his adrenaline is still running from what they had done earlier. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's possible. And so,
Legend.
but here's the thing. I think that there would be some sort of, like, this is 2017. It's not 2005 or 1990. In 2017, when you went to a gym, you usually had to like swipe a card or something, especially if it was like your home gym, that you would go to all the time. So I would assume that he would have had to swipe something, and maybe perhaps, that's the information that they believe is why they cleared him, because they know where he was at. Maybe there's footage of him there, and you get what I'm saying. So I think that may have happened, but I do think he did say that Patrick who committed this crime. So he's kind of not saying that he was involved in it, right? But the first time he spoke about it, he said that during a ritual, him and Patrick got in a fight because one something that didn't agree with the other. So those are kind of the points there. Now, they really didn't look at any of these guys, and they really never, as far as like a certain law enforcement. Now, the FBI and some of their guys, Todd Click is one of them, and they got two other offs that were investigating. They went really hard on the fact that this was a ritual thing, and they tried to present the evidence that they found, the conversations and the interviews that they had to the task force that was made for the to try to solve this case, and they wouldn't hear it. They just kept saying that guy's cleared or that guy's cleared. You know what I mean? And
I don't think he looks like, somebody says he looks like Bridge Guy. I said, I don't think he does. Bridge Guy was a lot bigger.
right.
I
think
it's been a man.
I think that this guy, I don't know if he's Bridge Guy, but he was there. So I say all that to basically say that there's a possibility that that Patrick guy and Elvis Fields were there as well, right? Now, the other claim that the defense is making is basically saying that the Odinites are terrorizing Richard Allen. And basically, like I mentioned before, there were certain guards that were guarding Richard Allen that had the Odinite patch. They had an Odin We Trust. Now, the prosecution were not aware that the defense knew about the Odinite angle, and they didn't say anything. And they actually have pictures of these correctional officers with their Odin patches. They informed the prosecution that they were aware of the Odin angle on August 10th. As of August 17th, the next time that the attorneys went, none of the correction officers were wearing the Odin patches. What do y'all think about that?
That is, I think small little towns like these need to do something better with their lives instead of creating cults and shit.
Right. No, obviously, but
when it comes down to that, to the officers, yeah, that's a big sticks out like a sore thumb, you know, pretty much saying that they don't want to be, you know, be part of that. Not a part of the group, but part of the case itself, you know.
Yeah.
To not bring so much light to them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, according to Richard Allen, he said that the guards were torturing him and basically telling him that his family was in danger, things like that, and that they threatened him that had he not called his wife and told her that he took the lives of the children, that they were going to do something similar to his family. And so that when he would go in to talk to his attorneys, they made sure, the correction officers made sure that they were there and close, and apparently they caught them somehow videotaping their conversation with the client, which is weird. Yeah, like it's pretty crazy, dude. I'm not lying. It's freaking nuts. And so after the August 10th thing is when they stopped wearing the patches, right? And now apparently the sheriff that was in charge, his name is Liggett, I believe. He was the one of the guys that was not for Richard Allen leaving that certain prison, because it came up that they wanted to move him from this facility to another one.
Yeah, I remember that.
And specific sheriff said, no, I want to keep him here because, you know, it'd be difficult to get him transferred back and forth and that, this and that, but it's less than 20 miles. And so it is a little bit suspicious that he wanted to keep him there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Big time. Big time. Not only that, but like Richard Allen looks rough, man, especially from when he got there. And you see him now? So almost unrecognizable.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So apparently, though, at one interview, Allen manages to tell his lawyers that the Odinites are after him. Now, the defense is like, oh, no, how does he know? Because, well, give me 1 second. I had to clear my throat, guys.
I got you, homie. I got you.
Yeah, I had the COVIDs this week. And so it's finally gone. But
how many times is that?
Like 4 now.
Nice. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Multiple survivor, man. This is crazy. And so apparently at one point, Richard Allen knows that the Odinites are after him, right? Or they're trying to get him. And the defense is like, well, we never told Richard Allen that there was an Odinite angle or anything. How would he know, right? Well, one reason is if he was involved in it, he knew how it was set up and staged, he would have known that there was an Odinite angle, right?
Yep.
So the defense goes into, another situation where they talk about that it's unlikely that Richard Allen could have committed this crime by himself. And they make some pretty valid points. They say that we are to believe that 5'4" Richard Allen would basically handle the 2 girls from the bridge, walk them down through the river, and they claim that was 3.5 feet deep. And crossover, he's only 5'4", so that would be like shoulder height to him almost. Cross over to the river, and apparently there wasn't blood on the clothes, so he would have had to have made these girls get undressed. And then one of them, Abby, apparently the cut to her neck was to an artery that created a slow passing, right? But there was no blood on her, so they think that she was similar to that painting with the guy hanging from the tree.
Okay. Yeah.
They feel that may have happened in this scenario, and there's a lot of missing blood from Abby on the scene, and they think that it was possibly collected, right? And they indicate also that the clothes that were put on her were clean. So if we were trying to create this scenario, it would be Richard Allen by himself with 2 girls that he forced to undress. He would have had to have done, one first and then the other, right? And they're expected to believe that while he committed the crime to one, that the other wouldn't have yelled, screamed, ran, done anything like that. You know what I mean? And then basically, like it does make it difficult to believe that one person could have done this. And the other reason is because they mention how clean the clothes that Abigail was wearing.
Yeah.
In order for it to have happened, the way they describe the situation is that Richard Allen would have had to have held Abigail by one hand and got her dressed with the other, right? And not possible, you know what I'm saying? And so then, put the bodies and do this all within a certain amount of time. Now, the defense team indicates that there are some lies that the Mr. Sheriff litigate created in the probable cause affidavit. For instance, they're stating that the first one is that Richard Allen did not claim to be there between 1:30 and 3 the second time around when he went and talked to the officers in October of 22, but claimed that he was there between 12 and 1:30, which I find to be bull crap, and I'll explain why. And then they claim that the witness that saw the guy on the Monhan Bridge, remember there was a witness that walked to the bridge and then walked back and saw a guy.
Mm-hmm.
She said the guy was youthful. He was probably 20 to 30 years old, childlike, which, Richard Allen's like 5'4", so somebody might assume that that's a young or, a teenager based on his height.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know about his facial features, but.
Right, correct. But she was 50 feet away. So 50 feet away is a good distance. And we also have to remember when it comes to these witness statements, there's a good chance that they're not going to be very accurate. And the reason being is because memory is tricky, especially when you're not expecting to remember something. It's different if, like, you're a family member of the victim and the police are telling you something, or, you're getting information from someone. You're ready to intake that information and do something with it. That's much different than if you're just taking a walk down the park and you see a guy on the trail and turn around. And then the next day, somebody asks you to describe that person. Like, that's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
So
like, if you're not looking for it, you're not going to pay attention and see, details. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for it, then you see something similar to it, then of course you're going to remember exactly what you saw. But if you're not, good luck with that.
Right, exactly. And so that lady was 50 feet away and said that she had seen somebody else. Now, the person that had seen the muddy and bloody guy walking down the street, the defense is claiming that they went back and looked at her testimony or what she had said, and that it wasn't a blue jacket, that Liggett lied when he said it was a blue jacket, and that he lied when he said that there was blood. There was never a mention of blood, just a guy muddy and may have been wearing a tan jacket, which wasn't what Richard Allen was wearing. Right. So they're saying that based on Richard Allen's statement that he wasn't there at a certain time, that he was there at 12:30 to 1:30, and that those statements from the eyewitnesses, since they're so different and they vary, that it couldn't have been Richard Allen. And I think that's complete crap, and I'll tell you why. So first things first, they say that the 1:30 thing, right? That Richard Allen was leaving at 1:30. However, Richard Allen put in his testimony that he passed by 3 females, one taller, as he entered the park. The 3 females said that they saw a guy entering the park as they walked out. Those 3 females had a picture that they took on a bench inside of the trail at 1:26. So that tells you that the interaction that they had was after 1:26 p.m. So Richard Allen's statement that he wasn't there until, was there at 12 o'clock, in my opinion, is bullcrap. So you have to follow the rest of the statement. He said that he went down to the Monhun Bridge and then came back. And that, based on all that, we're pretty positive he was the guy on the bridge. So that's the first thing that I'm saying this is bullcrap. Also, the other things that I'm noticing that is in here is that they're very specific on certain things, right? Like, for instance, when it came to the statement that Richard Allen made in 2022, where he said that he was there at 12:30, and the statement that he had said in 2017, where he was there at 1:30, they don't really. They saying that he had said this, but they tried to make it seem like that was the only statement that he made. In fact, that's the only one that they specify. When they talk about, for instance, the girl that saw the tan, jacket guy, they say that at this time, and they're very specific, like at this time this year, when asked, was this the person they had seen or whatever? Or did they have a blue jacket or a tan jacket? They said a tan jacket in 2017. In 2017, it was a tan jacket or whatever. Is it possible that after the fact that she may have recanted and said it was possibly something else? You know what I mean? Because memory is tricky.
Yeah. Like it goes both. It goes all the ways, especially with like time too. You know what I mean? Like, I have a real hard time. Like the time concept is out of whack. Like today, I thought it was like I thought today was Wednesday actually. So that's weird because it's barely Monday.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That is not Wednesday.
I wanted to get over the week already.
But like, so I think we have to wait for the state's response, right? The defense came in. I want to see what the state's response is to some of these accusations.
Mm-hmm.
If the state comes back and kind of gives a detailed reason why, like, for instance, Brad Holder was cleared, and that it makes sense. Let's just say that there's evidence puts him elsewhere. The only way he's connected to this crime is if he orchestrated it and wasn't there, right? And I don't know. Now, the defense is saying that, oh boy, Rick Allen, there's no connection to him and like Odinism or, following, Odin stuff, but he's from the area, right? It seems like this religion could be popular from the area. I don't know if there's anybody in the live chat from the Indiana area. Are you familiar how, I guess, popular this religion may be?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, how big are they?
I never heard of them.
Like, remember, was it Heaven's Gate? Remember that? Like one in Cali that they thought that this asteroid or comet was going to come to Earth, and behind the comet there's going to be like a spaceship, and they're all going to go, and then they all ended up taking themselves out. Remember? Yeah. And it was like a small cult, like, well, not small, but like it was a cult, like it was just, in that part of the state. I wonder if this is like, if this kind of societies are just there, or like in different little towns or even states.
I don't know, man. It might be like a northeastern type of thing, Middle West type of thing.
Because I understand like how you were saying that the motive of why this happened, right? But like, what's the purpose of this cult? Like, what's their end game? Because every cult has an end game, right? They believe in a certain, thing that's gonna happen at the end. Like just like Heaven's Gate, they thought they did this, they're gonna be saved and leave in the spaceship, right?
I think more like, I mean, it's an old religion, so it's been around for years. I think it's just, a sacrificial thing to the gods. That's how, if I remember right, from watching some of like the Viking shows and stuff like that. They had to like sacrifice, like I think something they want to make sure that they were virgins or something. So it's I don't know this I guess religion enough about it to see what they would do, or I'm not sure if it's even a religion, but
Yeah, because let's be honest, man. There's been a lot of situations where they always say it's like sacrificial rituals or killings,
Yeah.
and then at the end of the day, it doesn't even turn out to be that. But this one does sounds pretty convincing, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does sound like it sounds weird, man. And it's like there's some tomfoolery. I mean, especially when you look at some of the statements that Elvis Fields made, right? Like, how could he have known? So Autumn Evans says, I'm from Indiana. I've never heard of this. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's a very serious religion around the world. But I think it's like I don't know, man. I never heard of it. So maybe it's one of those religions that kind of secretive, you know what I'm saying? So the defense want cameras in the courtroom. Yeah, kind of sort of. So prosecutors want defense wants cameras in the courtroom. The prosecutors don't. What do you think about that?
Fishy.
Right. Like it's like, all right, so the defense says that they want the cameras there so that there's no tomfoolery, everybody can see the evidence and see what's going on and how.
It's usually the other way around, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're also saying that they don't want to change a venue. They don't want him to leave the correction facility.
Would you be surprised if somehow, some way, Richard Allen does not make it to trial?
Dude, if he doesn't, based on all this,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Based on this, that would be like, I don't know. Jen says, I lived in Oregon for 20 plus years and it was present there in Oregon. It really is a gang. It's all about control as usual. I mean, yeah, it very well could be. And it does seem like there might be some involvement there. Now, my wonder is there a possibility that there's some sort of connection between, maybe Patrick and somebody in law enforcement? It seems like there's already Odinites amongst the correctional facility. Those guys are considered law enforcement. A lot of guys go from corrections to police. Is it possible that maybe there's a law enforcement officer who's got ties here and doesn't want it, showing light? I mean, think about the Long Island serial killer. The chief of police there didn't want to investigate the crimes because he was hooking up with prostitutes as well, and he didn't want his stuff to be found out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's it called? Like in the state, in the law in this state, is it the same? Like if you're part of it, you're still considered as guilty as the other person that committed the crime, even though he wasn't there physically, or is it different? Is it a different law? Like they get something different. They're charged with something different.
Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can charge them if you have some sort of proof to show the conspiracy to commit. Mm-hmm. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
So, according to the file, shares a concern with inflammatory language of the defense counsel. Defense counsel continues to use inflammatory language in pleadings, including statements that are simply not true. And there's no reason to think that they will not continue to be super salacious language in court, designed as sound bites for recording on national stage. The response also mentioned that the problems could potentially arise from the defense's change of venue, as the defense cited publicity in the request. Publicity in the request. McClellan said similar problems may also come from public broadcasting of the preacher hearings. The defense has already moved for a change of venue, citing judicial publicity, and if the court were to allow broadcasting in pretrial hearings, the publicity would be pervasive, and as the defendant notes, will be without boundaries given the worldwide interest in the proceedings. Let's see. Interesting.
I think maybe we're gonna have to do a show about Odinites and see what they're about. Maybe if it's just a religion, or is it like a cult kind of deal?
Oh, I've seen some. I was watching some of their stuff, man. Like, it seems like it's a mixture of like people that have with Thor and Odin, almost like LARPing. And then you have some some very serious folks that are, they look at the ruins and sacrifices and stuff like that are a part of it.
It's kind of hard to believe though, especially because you said they kind of try to recruit low IQ people.
Yeah.
So that's pretty. They're not that low IQ if they haven't got caught.
Yeah.
Well, I think. What do you call it? I don't think that everybody's low IQ. I think that these guys were right. These were the guys, like, supposedly, it was just them that were trying to, like, Brad and Patrick, who were recruiting low IQ guys.
Like almost like henchmen kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want them to be smarter than them.
So I found this also, and this was something that Holder shared himself on his Facebook. That looks like an asterisk to me. One that seems very similar of like the asterisk that was placed on Abby's body.
Oh, touche.
And this is designed to put fear in the enemy. Weird, right?
Very, very.
So supposedly, like the F on the tree and the pool that was like aligned with Libby was like Hail Odin. So you would have Hail Odin, put fear in the enemy.
Who's the enemy?
I don't know, man. Well, I guess if what Brad was saying was true, and if he did say it, allegedly, we don't know. It's hearsay at this point. Yeah. But, if he said that it was something about someone mixed racing.
But, I mean, even if that was the case, like, wouldn't they make it a clearer picture to point that out? Because at this point, they didn't, nobody knew why they were murdered, right?
Maybe. I mean, I think that there was a lot of information that went out about this case. It's possible that some of the Odinites, if they were involved, may have known about it. Because, like, I had heard about they're like a long time ago. Not even a case like that close then, but I had heard that there was like some Nordic signs out there. It didn't say what or whatever, but that it was basically it was some kind of that it was staged to look like some kind of ritual had occurred, right? And that there was these Nordic signs, and I was like, okay, well, we'll see. I mean, the probable cause or the only information that was out there is that the bodies were moved and staged, so that makes sense.
At that time, but that's all we were going off of. Now that we know that all these things were, put on their bodies, the way they were positioned, it does make it seem like it would have taken a lot longer if it was just one person, right?
Let's get him on the show. Jason Momoa.
Really?
I have some Aquaman questions.
Oh, blue. And
did they cancel it?
Aquaman? I thought that it was still
came out.
Yeah.
Did it already come out?
No, it's not yet.
Well, because of Amber Heard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Blue, can you put this on the screen? Oh, there it goes. Never mind.
Yeah, he didn't want to find any chocolate Hershey's on his pillow, so they're trying to cancel it.
So this is the F that, or the symbol that resembles an F. That is for God or Odin. But this is
Is that the same F that was on the painting as well as the one at the scene, at the crime scene?
See
Because
the
I see
F
the
that,
other one over here. On the front.
this one, this one looks more like the F that, or the symbol that really reminds me of an F there.
Did I say cattle, right? Cattle.
Yeah, it's like cattle or wealth. But the prosecution is claiming that it says Hail Odin. And so the symbols for Odin is this, looking F, and Hail is like these N looking things, which
means that there's another symbol that says hell somewhere under? Somewhere in the crime scene or what?
Well, the supposed F that says Hail is painted on the tree above Libby, and Libby supposedly, according to the defense, has something that would make you believe that it says Hail Odin.
Oh,
and so this would be Hail. Now, I guess if you were looking at this from a different angle, this could be the V that's on her body, and then this is the long stick, but it doesn't really look like the formation in which is described. This one looks more like the formation, maybe, if this V was like further down.
Is this elk protection?
Yeah. Well, elk or protection.
Oh.
All right. And so it's weird, man. But yeah, these are some of those runes. So it's weird, man. But like I said, I think that you can't pass the fact that Richard Allen is there at the entrance of the trail at 1:30. I don't think there's anything denying that. Blue, what do you think? Do you think that there's who do you think's involved? If you had to take a guess.
If I had to take a guess, is Richard Allen for sure, because the gun show was replaced, traced back to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does seem a little bit like a ritual kind of, positioning of the bodies. So
Right.
Looks like he might have had some help, but and that one guy was telling his ex-wife when he was drunk that he was part of it, so maybe him. I would interview him more.
Yeah. What about you, Jaime? Where do you stand so far right now?
Well, in the beginning, there was other names that coming up, like was it Logan, Klein, right?
Ronald Logan, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously Richard Allen. And I thought, this was just a group of child predators, that they knew each other, and they groomed these kids and got them out there, and ended up, like we said before, at least we thought that it was a kidnapping gone wrong, right?
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but now then we heard about the positioning, the staging, and at that point, still at least for me, I thought one person can probably do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we're getting more information that not only were they staged, there were branches put in specific ways. Blood's not where they're supposed to be at, or the lack of. Clean clothes. You got symbols on trees. Then that makes it seem like there was a lot more involved in this incident, and that there was a lot of planning too. So hopefully everybody that was, or if they're involved, are punched or caught and punched.
Yeah, because what gets me also is like the blood was sprinkled on one body, right? Like it was dripped. That's like dripped, yeah. But it says all over the body. Like, not just in one area. When we read that report the other day, so that to me reminds me like the rituals when they dip the water.
But here's the thing: the blood was on the body, but not on the sticks. So the sticks were placed on the body after the blood was dripped on her.
Yeah. Not only that, but like also like, when the investigations open the investigation, I mean, you gotta, every avenue could be, you can solve a case with every avenue you take, So it doesn't matter if it's just like hearsay; they still gotta follow through. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the fact that they didn't go in depth with the, at least at that time, the rumor of it, right?
Right.
Of this supposedly cult, or I mean, they kind of behooves why they didn't.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, there's one last thing I wanted to bring into question. So I always had a question about why is Richard Allen traveling on 300 North westbound when he lives west of that area, he works west of that area, and there's not a real good reason for him to be out here on 300 North, east of this highway, traveling this direction, because this road goes for a while east. It goes this way. Like, you would have, to be on this road, he would have had to have come from pretty good long distance away. Now, what we find out is that Patrick lives approximately 3 miles away from this area. Now, I don't remember if it was east or west, but apparently, if he lived 3 miles, I guess east of this direction, off of 300 North somewhere, because apparently there's a river in his backyard too. Right. So I think that he might live off of this road. That would make sense why Allen is coming this direction, westbound. Right. And so that was one thing that I had thought of. But yeah, I mean, the timeline is very tough. If Richard Allen is the guy right here with the juveniles say that they saw, and Richard Allen said that he saw the juveniles, that was at approximately 1:33 p.m.
Yeah.
And so if he was there and he did what he said he did, which is walk to the high bridge and look at some fish, and that puts him there before Libby and Abby by a few minutes.
Yeah.
But while he's there, there's another witness that sees him. Right. I think her name is Betsy. She is the one that we have marked in purple. Yeah. She says in her statement that she entered the trail not from the Freedom Bridge area, but out here by by where like Libby and Abby would be dropped off. Oh, actually, it was out here in front of the Hoover's Harbor store. And that she walks down here, and that when she's turning around and walking away, she says that she sees who she thinks is Libby and Abby pass her and walk towards the high bridge. So she sees somebody on the bridge. She sees the girls walking by the bridge. And according to her statement, she went back and forth on the trail and never saw anybody or them again.
Yeah, which kind of tends to, we believe that he walked back after he saw the girls pass by, right?
Right. And
never exited because she already went through the whole trail and came back.
Exactly. And the other thing is that kind of tells us that this is definitely not a kidnapping gone wrong, is if they collected Abby's blood, like it is alluded that it happened, that's premeditated. Like, he would have had to have taken a bucket or something down there. You know what I mean? And there isn't a picture of the guy on the bridge holding a bucket or any of those things. And he doesn't look wet. So he would have had to have gone to the area, probably through
the predetermined spot, right?
Yeah, gone to the predetermined spot through the cemetery, That's right here. That leads right to this area. Like, and all it really would take is somebody going to this. Like, I don't think, like, for instance, Ronald Logan is still not involved. Joe Lamont gives us $2. Says, "You guys are good. This seems like Paradise." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Do you guys know what Paradise Lost is, though?
I don't actually. I don't, but I'm gonna check it out now. So
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it too.
yeah, that sounds fun.
I wanted to cut it off, guys. I gotta get going to work. Everybody have a good night, guys.
So,
Man, and don't
Thank
go,
you, Blue.
man. Don't go blue. Blue.
so-
Don't go blue. Don't.
that mother
You didn't
trucker.
care.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is that they pulled in, they set up here, and the juvenile said that when this person passed him, that it looked like he was walking with a purpose, right? So my assumption is that while they were down here in this area, that maybe perhaps whoever was on the bridge got notified that these girls were going this direction already. How they would have known, where's that communication? I have no idea. Did Abby have a phone? Because I don't know if they ever said they recovered her phone. If she did, it sounds like they only recovered Libby's phone.
Yeah. That's all I remember. That's why I remember that they recovered hers. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, what's it called? I was gonna say, like, the easiest thing would have been, drop off stuff prior to that, the day, because then if they would have parked anywhere else, they would have been seen taking stuff in there. Also, I was gonna ask, do you know if these branches that were put on top of the body, were they clean cuts, or were they broken?
There was only one that had a clean cut. One of the branches.
They had some type of tool at one point.
Either that or somebody cut some branches. Now, here's the thing. There's apparently a picture or a video of Brad Holder and Patrick, his buddy, cutting sticks and branches, saying that they were creating ruins on his Facebook.
Do you think they brought these branches from somewhere else?
Well, they were cutting these branches at their house, man, maybe. But
Maybe.
yeah, to only have one, that's a little weird. It's possible that ruins were done there before, or not ruins, but maybe perhaps some sort of ceremonies had been, done there. And maybe one of those branches were left behind and, was used in this scenario. Thank you, Liz W, for your $4.99 super chat or super sticker. We appreciate that.
That's a cute dog, man. That is a cute dog.
That was. It says, Angel D says, "Are you really doing a mock trial with it?" It's more of a debate. I don't do mock trials. It's a
who's leaking our information out.
Right. It's gonna be a debate where she thinks that the defense has the edge / she thinks that there's some things that aren't correct with law enforcement in Moscow, Idaho. And I think that the investing was done well. And I think they got their guy. So, we're going to just kind of talk about the facts of the case and why we think what we think. It's not really a mock trial. I wouldn't say that, because there's not going to be any type of like judge or jury or any of that stuff. We're going to have some people and be judges, like who's right, who's wrong.
Dude, can I wear things of that the hair?
Not that kind of judge.
Oh man,
more like a Simon Cowell judge. We'll give you a buzzer.
Oh, nice.
So just kind of like that. Not necessarily a mock trial, but it should be
like
fun.
This heavier accent.
Right, you just start talking British too. That'd be crazy. So yeah, when it comes to this case here with Delphi, I'm a little bit concerned, but yeah, I think that the concerning part here is it possible that somebody in law enforcement or high up in this area is connected? Now, I want to say this other thing. This is what's weird. So according to Elvis Fields, I believe it was Elvis Fields who said this, that not only did him and his friends take the lives of Abigail Williams in Libby, Germany, but they also set fire to a house nearby that took the lives of 2 other children. Now, Flora incident that occurred, I believe it was a year before, and there were 4 children's lives were taken. Now, when Doug Carter went to go talk about this incident and talk about the arrest of Richard Allen, he said in his press conference that he stopped at the house in Florida, and he felt that that was the next case that they're going to try to solve. What do you think about that? Like those two, that comment, and then when you go back and you look at Doug Carter's actions and statements, what do you think?
Man, I feel almost like a Netflix special, like series, like limited series going on. Like they have to like solve it like in 6 episodes. It's just so many things going on, and so many like little clues here and there that make it seem like it's something else. It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy.
Do you think that, let's just say, now I'm not accusing anybody or anyone, but let's take this scenario out of it. If we were to find out later that there's possible involvement in a department with, some religious type of cult, and you find out there's statements that are made by somebody who was investigating that, and it brings up another case that possibly could have been committed by the same cult, and law enforcement isn't investigating said cult as hard as they probably should. Does that? I mean, it sticks out to me. It seems a little fishy. It's almost like they know something.
They're on cahoots,
right? Like, I don't know. I felt like it was like they knew something. Let's see.
It sure seems like they knew more than they were saying. I'll tell you that.
I agree, man. And I just feel like I just don't understand why I like this. Let's go Rams for sure. I just don't.
It's the wrong channel.
Yeah, is it? Not just playing. But I don't know, man. I'm really starting to think that there's more to this. I think that Richard Allen was involved. Like it'd be different if there was some exculpatory evidence, like a picture of Richard Allen somewhere, but something like that. But initially, all he said was that he was wrong one. I was gonna open up the it's missed my Facebook. I was gonna open up the message that you sent me, but I didn't want everybody else to read all our other messages.
No, yeah, all the cheeseman that goes on in there.
No, I know. So that's why I was like, whoa, I better not open that up before your message pops up.
I don't know if I sent you that picture before, or did I ever tell you the story about that?
Oh yeah. I think it did, but I've never seen the picture.
No, okay. Well, that's the picture.
We're gonna have to use that.
My nudes.
We're gonna have to use that on the next paranormal because that is pretty creepy, and I know the story behind it. Blue's out trying to figure it out in the comments between our messages. We'll bring that up next time, guys. But I don't know, man. Do you think that if it comes to find out that there's a law enforcement officer in Delphi that is a part of the Odin group, do you think that Richard Allen is going to get off on this, regardless if he's guilty or not, or a part of this?
If he's going to get what?
Do you think he'll get off on this? Like they won't find him guilty if they find that
it just depends how deep that goes. You know what I mean? At this point, it might not just be those 2 officers or 3 officers. It might be higher up, and they're gonna end up backing each other up at all costs. And either Richard Allen was involved somehow, or he's the fall guy, and he's being threatened. Because, like I said, like he went from when he went in, he looked not healthy, but he was bigger. He's a bigger dude. He was a bigger dude. Now it was like,
he's lost some
kind of like, now he looks like he's lost a lot of weight. He doesn't even look recognizable anymore, at least to me. But it does, like, it does make sense, some of the stuff that is going on, especially when he mentioned this cult even before anybody, even before the defense had actually brought it up,
Right. That leads me to believe one of two things. Either he is being harassed by them, and or he was already aware that there was some symbols out there because he was involved. Give me one second.
I still did I still dubbed it. Hi guys, so so I don't like being here by myself. I feel abandoned. I have abandonment issues, bro. What you doing?
Oh man, freaking COVID is hitting me hard. But let's see. Tara comes in with a $4.99. Hated distracted Atlanta is having us fill out her jury form. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
They're trying to kill you here.
I know, dude. That was funny. I didn't mean to laugh. I don't know what that is about. But in all fairness, I did there, and I had said, hey, we should do like a debate, maybe like somewhat of a slight mock trial, but not really a mock trial because we don't have all the evidence. How do we know what's speculatory? How do we know what's hearsay? What's this? What's that? So I want to keep it as a debate.
Yeah, I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true, but a lot of people that our friends, the group of friends, that said that you're a real good debater, to the point they call you master.
Maybe.
Is that true?
Nah, man, I'm actually quite poor at it. But I don't know, man. I think you're being mean there. But I didn't mean to laugh so hard. It's a debate. But it's just, hold on, let me see. Atlanta thinks her evidence is all that matters. Let me put it this way. Like, she sees things one area from one direction sometimes. And, everybody does. I've noticed that there's some folks that are like super pro one way, and whether it's like pro prosecution, everything that comes out is for the prosecution. And then I've seen some folks that are pro defense, and it's the same information that's being put out there. And both sides are like, hey, this makes my point. Right now, us here, we try to be as straight down the middle as we probably can. I have no prejudice towards either side. Even though I was, in law enforcement, I'm not just pro law enforcement. In fact, early on in the Koberger case, I was pretty much saying that the law enforcement guys were not doing a great job. Right. And as more evidence started to come out and more of the truth came out of what was going on, and I saw what they were doing, and I kind of, the procedures and some things, I've never been a part of a murder investigation or any of those type of things. I've never investigated that. So, I don't know all the ins and outs of that. Now, in this case, I think there's somebody corrupt in the law enforcement area in this thing, whether it's just the corrections officers or if there's some truth to the fact that Patrick has somebody that's pretty high up. And the reason I think that as well is because this area that they're at is a small area. It's like 2,500 people, I believe, that live in Delphi. The smaller the community, the more likely that somebody can take advantage of the system that are in, in law enforcement or in a position of power. It's checks and balance. There's less other, individuals of a similar rank or things of that nature, right? And you have that possibility that there could be some corruption. When you have, like, for instance, Moscow, Idaho, where, yes, it's a small community of like 25,000 people, but I think it was like 21 or 23,000 of the the folks that live in Moscow, Idaho, are somehow, I believe, they're students of the universities that are there. And so in reality, it's smaller, but they have a department that is made or meant for the size of their of the population, even though majority of the population is students. So it's a bigger department. There's probably a lot more of administrative positions. Like when you look at, for instance, a small department, you might have an officer, a sergeant, and a chief, and that might be it. Or you might even have just officer and chief, and there's nothing in between. When you get to a bigger department, you really have your chief, your lieutenants, your captains, and everything is different and subsidized and things like that. So in those scenarios, there's more checks and balances. In a smaller city, it's not so much. That's why I like, for instance, Alex Murdaugh was able to get away with what he was doing because he was from a small area and his family were in places of power and things like that.
That's perfect example, man.
Right. So that's why those things are possible. And so for us, we'll look at every situation like, all right, what's the evidence? When we looked at Richard Allen, initially we're like, all right, he said he was there at 1:30. Timeline is pretty tight. The bullet was found. Pretty solid. It's him. Well, this gets dropped, and we're like, whoa. Now I still think it's him because, I find the timeline to be very difficult. And you have it comes down to the 3 juveniles that see him and him seeing the 3 juveniles and them having a stamped photograph at 1:26 p.m. So that alone right there tells me that there's a good chance that Richard Allen is involved once we figure out what all the other evidence is, because we still don't know.
Yeah.
Now, the defense did say that there was no trophies found at Allen's house. There was no DNA. There was no I guess evidence at all that there was a connection there.
Yeah.
Man, this stuff's really kicking my butt again.
I can tell. The other thing that that also like kind of throws me off is when you were talking about the bullet being like buried, right?
Yeah.
That's also trippy because even if they stepped on it, right? Like if it was buried, they wouldn't have seen it, right? Mm-hmm. So do you think that they stepped on it and they're calling it buried because it was like on top of underneath the leaves, or it's just kind of weird, the wording.
Yeah, I think it's meant to confuse, to be honest with you. Like I said, I mean, there's the prosecution, especially right now. The prosecution's going to come out with verbiage that is going to be one-sided, and so is the defense. Now, buried implies intent, in my opinion. Right? When you bury something, it's intentionally put into the ground and covered up. But they said that they had a picture of it buried. I'm not certain that
that makes no sense.
If something was buried, you'd have a picture of it. You couldn't see it.
So you have a picture of dirt,
right? Exactly. Unless it's just impressed into the ground, and they're claiming that that's buried, which is the
that's
wrong
more
term.
Possible.
Yeah, and it's also the wrong term because, like I said, buried implies intent to have put it in there, and I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it, but the thing is, they had that round since then. They had it in evidence. There's a chain of command, chain of evidence. Unless somehow there was a break-in the Richard Allen house, and somebody went and stole a ammunition round, or they recycled one first out of his while he wasn't home. They found his gun, recycled a round, took that round, and replaced it with the one that was found on the scene. Yeah. I don't know about that.
Or even in his truck, right? Or car or whatever, right? Whatever he drives. Over there in that kind of, town or the
right
country, pretty much, I'm pretty sure they're carrying rifles. They're hunters and stuff out there.
Right.
So I'm sure, like last time I took my truck. We went out. Me and my dad went out to the ranch and shot a couple of rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the shells were there, the spent shells casings, and we picked them up. Missed one. We missed one, right? And my dad took the truck to Mexico. Right?
Yeah.
Oh man, they made a big deal with that one, man.
Oh yeah.
They thought he was coming back with, that he was out there in Mexico coming back, and has been shooting rounds out there. But I could have made that too, and like they could have been in his car. They could have broken into his car, but I don't know. That's more plausible than him just being involved,
Yeah. He says there were reports of screams heard late at night. I think their lives were taken much later on. Ari had nothing to do with it. Doggy caps make me think even more that BK is being set up. Or dodgy cops. Man, I read that wrong. I said doggy caps. I was like, what is that? That's dyslexia for you guys. Don't be judging me. I want to first say that Delphi and Moscow, Idaho have nothing in common or anything. So if there is some kind of like shady cop stuff that's going on in Delphi, it doesn't necessarily mean that cop stuff is happening in Moscow, right? I will say that when I look at this information here, it definitely does like there's some shady stuff going on in Delphi. I don't see anything shady in Moscow at all. Not at all. As far as like, they have the workups that they have to do, because I think that's the biggest one is like, hey, there was 2 other unidentified DNAs that were in the house that they didn't do a workup on. Well, law enforcement, Moscow, Idaho Police Lab, Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police Department, they didn't even do the workup for Brian Koberger. And they didn't turn over they didn't receive the workup from Brian Koberger. The workup was done by the FBI. And according to the DOJ policy, I believe it was page 9 of the state's motion and reply on July 14th. Go check it out. Second to last sentence into the sentence onto page 10, I believe, state that per DOJ policy that the genetic tree can only be used if there's no suspect or lead. So if they got the DNA from the sheath and they created a lead, they weren't going to be able to do the same on the other ones unless that lead that they created ended up being nothing, right? So let's just say that they would have done one of the other deeds that were found in the house. And that comes back to a guy named, oh man, I'm going to make up one.
Go back to me. Whoa, that's my last name though.
And we'll just say it comes back to Jaime. And we find out that Jaime was at the party the night before. 150 people were there. Jaime was a DJ. The next night, he was performing 100 miles away and or in Boise until 2:30 in the morning. Well, there's no way he could have been in Boise at 2:30 and in Moscow, Idaho at 4 o'clock, right? And let's say he drives a green truck. Well, there's a lot of things that exclude Jaime from being the person that ended up committing this crime. Now, let's just say that would have been the case with Brian Koberger. Let's just say they got his name. Let's look at Brian Koberger. What do we know? We know that the person that committed this crime, we believe, drove a white vehicle without a front license plate. Does Brian Koberger own and operate a white vehicle without a front license plate at the time of the incident? No, he does. So that doesn't exclude him. We know that the Dylan Mortensen saw a person about 6 foot, muscular, thin but not muscular, and bushy. Is Brian Koberger about that height and weight? Does he have bushy eyebrows? Yeah. Now, if Dylan said that the guy was 5'8" and 250 pounds, then Brian Koberger doesn't match that description. that would exclude him, right? So even though that Dylan statement doesn't necessarily point at him, it doesn't exclude him. So that's a check mark. All right. We need to know, was Brian Koberger, was he active? Was he up and around during the time of the incident? And come to find out that sure enough, his phone, we have video of him in Pullman, Washington at 2:50 in the morning, and his phone comes back on at 4:48 after the incident south of Moscow. All right, that check marks. And you go on, and the thing is, at a certain point, when you have all these check marks, you start to think to yourself that, this guy might be the guy. Right.
It's not me.
Exactly. But like I said, there would be some stuff that would, if it wasn't him, that would lead to that direction. And I think that's what his defense team is hoping when they say that through cross-examination that they're going to find out information that is going to be exoneratory to Brian Koberger. And what that means is that they're going to come across a situation based on what somebody says that excludes it from being Brian Koberger, which isn't really the strongest defense, in my opinion.
I think they're gonna, try to make it, the statement that is it Dylan? No, yeah, Dylan, right? It's the statement about her seeing someone.
Yeah. What about that?
I think they're gonna go after that. Considering that they were out in the party drinking and whatnot.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody says that Ann Taylor's going to go hard at the surviving roommates. I don't think so. I have some information that the sounds of it was that surviving roommates were very much in shock after the incident. That one of them was so bad that she couldn't talk, she's completely shaking, and that the other one was just kind of rambling and trying to help. It was just very hysterical and crying, stuff like that. If those images are shown right in court, and you see how emotional and how real that it affected these two individuals, and then you see the defense attorney yelling at them or going at them and making them cry, do you think that's going to be a good look to the jury when they see that?
No, but then again, weren't they out and about a couple, 2 months later?
I mean, one of them was, and we have pictures of them out and about somewhere. But
there's the same thing as Casey Anthony when she was out and about after committing, supposedly committing. You know what I mean?
Well, not necessarily. Casey Anthony was out and about while her daughter was still missing.
Yeah, but then again, you're saying that the roommates were in shock after they found out.
Yeah, I don't think it was a situation.
So she wasn't shocked. Wow.
I don't know.
She opened the door, and you know what I'm saying?
I don't know about that. I just know from what I understand is while they were questioning them that it didn't look like they were faking it. Yeah. So, I think that there's a pretty good possibility that they heard some things. They may have even thought something may have happened, but they weren't completely sure of the extent of what happened. And once they found out what the extent was, they became a little bit, their reaction was real from what I understand. And if, you have that sort of reaction and you see that, and also when we've seen Dylan and Bethany out and about on pictures, one of them was at a restaurant where she was, I guess, with some new sorority sisters, and another one, a baseball game or something like that. If you had somebody, one of your family members that was, gone through something like that, it was shock and fear, wouldn't you want to get them out of the house sometimes and maybe try to enjoy life too?
No, yeah. But it goes back to the way you were saying that, how would that make them look if they're, questioning them hard and having them out there on the thing, real emotions and all that stuff. They can, look at the other way around and see, they were out and about.
I think they were right. Well, I think the times that they've been seen out and about also were after spring, This situation came out in November, so it's a much longer time as well.
Yeah, but the thing is about that is just like if they question them to the point where their emotions are just off the charts and stuff like that, I don't think it will affect anything. But it would. The jury's the job of the jury is the facts, right? Not necessarily what a person feels or the way they act with their emotions, right? It's the facts that they're saying or their testimony, in other words.
It's supposed to be, but the thing is, the jury has emotion. They're not callous to things, and so it is very impactful. Like whenever there's like a victim that's crying on the stand, or that is becoming emotional, or that you have a lack of emotion from a suspect or from a somebody that's been accused of a crime, whether that's on the stand or in the courtroom. And so those type of things make a difference, the way a person comes off per se. And like I said, the situations where we've seen like Dylan and Bethany out, they weren't like party situations. Like party wasn't like, hey, I'm on speaker dancing or anything like that. It was around friends and stuff. And it's also a lot longer period of time. And also they're not standing or sitting in front of the accused person that had committed this crime like they will be come court. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Terry guy says, you had inside information when we had a debate. The jury will not take kindly for the defense yell at a witness. There has to be balance. Oh, I have a lot of information that I can't say. I'll put it at that. I know quite a bit.
We went from we should have put on the thumbnail Delphi/BK because we went to BK too fast.
Right. And so yeah. Apparently that's what she was gonna say. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm aware of quite a bit of stuff, from that I haven't been able to say. And it's not just from one source. I'll put it that way. It's not just from, the family. Is there stuff that I know from the family? Yeah, I do. There's stuff that I know that we know that we haven't put out there because that was at the request of the family. They informed us of some things, and we've kept that top secret. So, and we will continue. And once the trial is ended and things of that nature, maybe we'll disclose some of the things we know, because at that point it's not pertinent anymore. Yeah, it's already out. I may even, release the interview that I had with Christy. And so, yeah, but that's not going to happen until then.
There's no putting the genie back in the bottle.
Right. You can't do that. And drink, yes, drink. And so, yeah, man. When it comes to that case, I'm very positive that the law enforcement got their guy. You have to be able to, there's the possibility of elimination, right? You have to be able to do those things. And when it comes to Brian Kober, eliminate anything. You get what I'm saying? There's zero that you can eliminate from him not being the guy.
Yeah.
And so it is what. Oh, thank you. It says, I admire your integrity. I appreciate it. At the end of the day, I don't want to burn anybody or anything like that. It's not worth it. It's not worth doing that. And, at the end of the day, also, like, I think last time we were asked if we were like, religious or, believe in God and Christians. And, I answered it. I said, yeah, I am. And I believe that I'll have a day to meet my maker. And when I do, I don't want to be the guy that God's like, hey, you exploited the victims for money and views. Because I'll tell you right now, y'all, there's a lot of people in the comment section that tell us, oh, you guys must be getting more views or paid more because you guys, are saying that Koberger's the guy. It is quite the opposite. Almost.
I live in a crappy apartment.
Yeah, like it is.
And I'm barely making it to. I'm barely paying for it.
It will get you there, man. We'll get you there. But it's one of those things that while we were kind of questioning law enforcement about this, we were getting about maybe 750,000 views a month. And since it's more like 7,000. No, it's a little bit more than that. It's probably somewhere around 70, maybe 100. No, it's about 200,000 views a month. So we went from 750,000 views per month to 250,000 views. So yeah, we dropped down quite a bit. And I've had people come, through our email and stuff like that and say, hey, to get more views, you should guys say this, or hey, this creator's talking bad about you. I bet if you guys go out there and start a beef, you guys would have, it would be good for both of your channels. And I'm like, that's not what we're about, That's
we've never been like that. Yeah, we've never been like that. Like even from the beginning, man. Like everybody has a different opinion, even between us, and we're okay with it. So that's just the way we are.
100. We're about almost 2 hours into this. I want to thank everybody that stuck it out. We probably stopped talking about Delphi almost an hour ago. And, I want to thank everybody that stuck around and just conversated with us. Appreciate it. It's good therapy and good talk to people. I mean, do you have any last words for anyone?
I just want to say thanks to everybody. And I think next, I don't know if the next show that we're going to do, but the next paranormal show we're going to do, I sent Danny some pictures. I'm going to send you one more. And I have a story about it that happened to me. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty weird because Hyman not only has paranormal stories, he has paranormal proof. Whether it's this picture or the trail cam in his house that he captured a shadow picture with, always something there. And so that might be, our Friday show, a little bit of a crazy Friday, freaky Friday, something like that this Friday.
Yeah.
So make sure you're still here and you're not subscribed. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on your way out. But yeah, that being said, I'm going to go watch Monday Night Football. Hopefully the Bengals lose. Peace out, y'all.